And hello, welcome to Leo Curbelo Films. I'm Leo Curbelo, and today is production vlog number 7, I think. You watched the other 6, haven't you?
I've seen them all. I DVR them and I watch them on a constant basis.
I'm collecting them.
When I try to go every night, I do episode 1 on Mondays, episode 2 on Tuesdays.
So you're not binging them. You want to savor them.
Yeah, I savor them. So it's just like a fine wine. You just want to salivate.
I want to smell those production vlogs. And with me here is, what is your name, sir?
Oh, Nectarios Leonidas.
And you are a filmmaker, aren't you?
I try to, yeah.
Yes, we all tried to.
Not a successful one, but yeah, I try to. Yeah.
And joining me all the way from Florida is...
Hello, I'm Jason Torres, coming to you from Tampa, Florida.
And what do you do, sir?
I am an audio professional, audio engineer, and music recorder, and I have done some film work with you, my friend.
Ooh, yes, we have. Jason has audio mixed my last few short films, going back to maybe like 9 years even.
What do you use, Pro Tools?
I prefer to use Cubase, but I can use Pro Tools, and I've used Sonar and a couple of other DAWs and systems. Yeah,
a lot of tin cans and strings. He likes to put tin cans and strings.
What I work with.
He has a USB string can thing going.
Nice. Okay.
Anyway, today we want to discuss the subject of micro budget filmmaking, because it's a subject that interests Jason a lot.
A lot.
He brings it up a lot.
I was actually bugging you about it the other night.
Right. And that's what we're here today. And Nectarios here actually has made a micro budget feature film.
How much did you spend?
Mine was probably like 70, 75.
Okay. Really, that much? Went that high?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I thought it was like 20 something.
No.
It went that high? Yeah. Well, I think anything under 250 would be considered micro budgeting. A micro budget film, according to Hollywood standards.
Really? Okay. We're going, okay.
Right.
Well, so now, just out of curiosity, and I don't mean to cut in this early, but if we're talking indie film, doesn't that change the standard? Isn't like 75,000 more of a moderate budget for an indie film?
No,
really,
very low. It's very, very low.
Yeah, indie films now between like 5 to 20.
Yeah, right? 5 to 20 $million.
Maybe like 10 years ago, it might have been like 1 to 10.
Right.
But yeah.
But now I think Jason wants to focus on making a film with known actors, known directors, just a bunch of unknowns getting together and making a good movie. Right, Jason?
I think we could do it, fellas.
You were saying like 30 grand, Jason? Was that the ballpark?
I thought that we could probably raise 20 to 30 grand.
What do you want to do with this film, Jason? Okay, you have choices. Let's just work for our way down.
Okay.
You have theatrical release. And now, forget about DVD release. Doesn't exist anymore. You can have, just streaming, right? You can actually post it on your own website, if you will, or something like Vimeo or YouTube.
Right.
YouTube Red, for instance, where there's a
lot more avenues for distribution now.
Right. You have a platform, or you have festivals. You have top tier festival, second tier festival, and third tier festival, and then a bunch of other stuff underneath. Where do you think a $30,000 film could land?
I think a $30,000 film, depending on quality, depending on type of film, and I guess your connections, would certainly be online, would certainly be festivals, and might, if you're lucky, land on a streaming platform.
I don't think for 30 grand, no.
No, you don't think that you could sell?
You could get it you could get it basically in festivals. It's not going to be like the top tier festivals.
No, of course.
Or even the second tier festivals. Any film.
No, actually, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you to qualify that. Why wouldn't you be able to get into a better festival? Because of the quality of the film at that budget?
It's never the quality. It's connections. Like everything else in this planet, it's all about connections.
Right. Okay.
So I could have a shitty film. And if I have the pedigree, either like a really good actor or come from like one of the top tier schools, I see their levels, it's pretty decent. Then I'm more likelihood to get into one of the top 10 in America or one of the top in the world. But without those connections, you're basically flying blind.
Right.
It is hard. It's almost impossible to get a film into something like Sundance, which is a top tier festival, without having a celebrity involved as one of the stars, or knowing somebody behind the scenes who's connected in picking the film.
Because you could be connected and basically be like either a sales agent or distributor, And if you show them the film and they love it, no matter what the budget is, they could get it into something that you never thought you could, But again, that's like, hitting the lotto.
Sure.
You get a better chance of getting hit by electricity right this second, or lightning than you do by
For 30 grand, unless you have a lot of favors people are willing to give to you, you can probably do like a 2 to 3 person dramedy comedy type of thing, right?
Yeah,
like a talking thing, something like
one of my fellow Greek filmmakers that I had I met him in a festival about 10 years ago.
Oh, man.
15 years ago.
Yeah, what's that?
He was in the city recently. Basically, he had a film which was a romantic comedy, and the majority of the film takes place in the apartment so basically there's a breakup, how they hook up and how they break up 6 months down the line, and it's just like really simple 1 or 2 locations, a few exteriors, and 1 or 2 main actors, but and it was shot maybe like in 10-12 days at the most.
12 days I think it was.
Yeah, so like everything depends on the logistics, and depends on the cast, and depends on what you're able to afford with that money that you have.
Right.
Yes, you want to be able to do an action movie in genres. You could probably do a horror film. Again,
like a Blair Witch kind of thing,
a Blair Witch type of thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about limited cast. You're talking about essentially free sets.
If you shoot in the middle of a forest,
permitting and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
In the middle of a forest, you don't have anybody creating weird sounds, and you don't have any permit issues. Yeah. So that for instance, here in New York City, we're in the middle of Manhattan right now. We couldn't go to Central Park and shoot a movie because it's just way too loud. Even on Sunday is way too loud. Here, most of the TV shows, when they shoot night scenes, they shoot them overnight. They'll start shooting at 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, and 6 in the morning. Like we did with your film, we shot a few scenes overnight. Yeah.
And then the next movie I'm trying to do, not the chem one, but the other one, it's all exteriors and it all takes place at nighttime. So that's going to be a nightmare because there's I think maybe 20 to 30 speaking parts. And then everything is exterior. So that one is, like unless I have like maybe 50 to 80 G's, then I can't make that unless I'm massive favors.
To that same point, excuse me. So you're saying that the reason you can't shoot is because of sound interference?
No, it's just logistics also. Like sound interference, it's not an issue. I mean, but the thing is, if you're gonna have decent lighting and you have, even with good cameras right now, unless you're trying to run and gun things, you need the planning and you need the amount of time to actually do something right. So what low budget does is like you have to take the equation of money out, and you have all the other options, which is either time or resources. And if you don't have those two, then money is the crucial component that you need.
Money is your resource.
For instance, sound is the hardest thing you get in a film. I mean, you can shoot a movie dark and it's fine. So now you're gonna need a sound guy. You're gonna need a sound guy every day there, and you have to pay him because nobody's gonna do you the favor of doing the sound for you for free.
Especially they need to have all the equipment too with it.
For 12 days. Now he had a problem with the sound guy on his film,
and he was a friend. And it was like interior. It was very simple, but like people just sometimes they fuck up. So,
and that's what happens. Then you start counting on friends or people who may not have the experience. And then
it wasn't really a friend. It was more like we worked together on prior projects, but they just basically cut the, like whatever, they just basically phoned it in.
What I was wondering about was something I'm sure that you guys have done to some extent, but I'm not sure how prevalent it is in like indie film world. Is ADR, and also how difficult it is to do.
It doesn't feel authentic, especially like
ADR most of the time doesn't come out right. Unless you're in a high-end studio you can go into and record and do perfect syncing, it's not gonna sound right.
It's sort of like when you're shooting something and they say you could fix it in post. Most times you can't fix it in post. So like it's always best to get the best audio as possible, and then somebody like you finesse it and tweak it to the level that it needs to be, as opposed to get shitty audio and then try to like scramble to fix it at the end. Because
now, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm just to ask: is that how major budget pictures do it? I mean, obviously they're on a closed set and stuff, but do they ADR a lot of their stuff or most of their stuff?
They do, they do a lot of.
They try to avoid that, but there's always looping to be done.
There's always
looping the same thing.
But then they have the resources, and then like somebody could go in there like a main actor could go in there for a week and redo all their lines, and then have a sound engineer basically. They have ridiculous amount. You have a sound engineer that fixing it, and then you have a Foley artist that adds the sound effects, and then you have another person that's basically adds ambient noise, and each one is like a specialty on its own. So like they could drag on something like that and fix it in audio, which would take like maybe a month, like in a big production.
Right.
But you don't have the resources like
and
that.
what happens when you're relying on friends to work cheaply or to do it for you as a favor? They'll let their own pay work get in the way. And that's what happened with your editor. His original editor said, I'm going to get to it. Never got to it because work kept getting in the way. And Nick Terrace finally had to edit the whole thing himself. Didn't that happen with your film?
Yeah, well, Aaron did like the first pass, and then I took over, and so.
Right, but it took him a while to get to it.
Because usually, like for example, the last movie I cut on, I assisted. Basically, I assembled. They shot for 5 weeks. I forgot what the budget was, but they were under $250,000. And that movie went pretty well. Like it played maybe 50 festivals around the world. It got distribution deals on Netflix. So and he even played theaters. He played like for a month in New York City in 5 theaters here in New York, 2 theaters in New York, some in California, some in San Francisco, some in LA, San Francisco, and then maybe the South, like in Atlanta. But they shot for 5 weeks. I was able to do the assembly literally in the same amount of time. And I had the trailer done also 5 weeks later too. So like when the editor took over, I was on to the next project. But if like in my case, we shot for 10 days and the editor didn't do it until like 2-3 months down the line. Then I took over and fine-tuned it and got it to where I needed to be 3 months later.
Now, let me ask a question. This is just a tangent to that, but did they make a profit on that?
I don't think so. I mean, he had a sales agent and they got a distribution deal, but it's still to this day, like this is 3 years in and he's still playing some festivals and some auxiliary markets, but I'm not sure if he recouped all the money back though.
So what happens is even if you get it on a streaming platform, let's say iTunes, right? Something like that.
Yeah, because let me just interject. Yeah. Because when he was playing theatrical, if you look at like the box office, again, there's no stars in it. So it was making, for the 5 weeks he was out, maybe made like 7,000. And then he doesn't get 7,000, like the distributor gets half that money. So like so even if you're playing, like in a real theater, you're still not making the money back unless you have marketing budget. And there was no marketing budget for something like that.
Out of $7,000, that means he probably got maybe $1,200.
Right.
If that,
yeah. Right. I mean, that's before taxes. Even.
So unless you're one of the Duplass brothers, it's not worth making a film without a star in it.
Well, they don't make money
even
I mean they
don't make money in those movies.
They do. I mean they make like like Creep, for example. They make those little like indie really micro budget films, and they make it really cheap and they sell it because I'm sure they have a decent deal with Netflix. But Netflix usually, the last time I read something, they paid like $100,000 for a film with no stars. So like maybe like in my friend's case, he broke even, but at the end of the day, like his name got out there and he played like 50 festivals and he premiered like in Seattle, which is one of the top 10 in the country.
As always, this is your calling card. Basically, this is your boost to the next project.
Something like that. Yeah.
You can a film, even if you were to make a film for $30,000, which is tonight's topic, it would just be a calling card. It'll be something you get into a festival.
Yeah.
Because for instance, let's say as an example, Paranormal Activity. That movie was made for $15,000. Okay. The original movie was made for $15,000. The original movie that played at festivals was made for $15,000 with no actors or nothing, and no advertising. And then an executive who had passed up on the Blair Witch Project said, wait a second, this is the next Blair Witch Project. I'm not passing up on it. He bought the rights and then he added another $120,000 to it. And they shot it. They reshot some scenes.
They reshot some of it, I see.
And then, just like Mariachi. Mariachi shot 7,000, but they probably spent another 150 to 200 just to tweak it.
Right.
So
and back in the day. Advertising.
Yeah. No, just to tweak it. Just before advertising. Yeah.
Before
then go back and reshoot some of the stuff and just in the same style.
No. In Mariachi's case, I think it was just audio mixing.
Right. Just like in Clerks, they went back and they switched the soundtrack to something hipper. So the movie cost like $120 to make originally.
The original $7,000 or $25,000 budget did its job. It got you. It sold the movie.
Yes, but you have to understand that's 1 in a million shot.
It's a 1 in a million shot. I know.
Yeah, and there's also like movies that just have fake hype too, like the shitty movie I hated from Sundance. Remember the sci-fi movie, the time travel one?
Primer.
Yeah, Primer. So
I love Primer.
They spent like $8,000 to shoot it on film. Then he went to Sundance, and you're like $8,000. It doesn't even, cover the cost of fucking making the prints. So let's be realistic, or even making the negative so you could cut the film. So
you don't think that was the right budget? You think that was
that was bullshit? That was total bullshit. Because like around that time I shot like 3 spec ads, and that each one was 30 seconds long. Maybe we shot 2 minutes for each one. The film itself cost me $2,000, and then another $2,000 just to process the film. So that's $4,000 for like what, 10 minutes,
right?
And before even touching editing.
Wait, $4,000 for 10 minutes of film?
Yeah, this is back in 2007, 2008.
Right, back when film was still a thing. Nowadays, I mean, even by 2008, HD film wasn't there. 2009 is when we finally get the 5D, right?
Yeah,
5D came out, and that's when everything changed.
Yeah. Still, I mean, Primer came out in what, 2009, something like that. So that must have been all shot on film, right?
2006, 2007.
It was shot on Super 16, supposedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't look like it though.
Whatever. I'm still pissed off about the shitty film.
But yeah, I mean,
love that movie.
Again.
And I remember what you said there. Remember, like, just because it doesn't make sense, it doesn't mean it's good.
Yeah, right. To me, it seemed like a movie that was shot.
It was a white boy sci-fi film. That's what.
Yeah, to make it look kind of.
Even though I look white, I'm not.
He's great. Yeah, he has.
I'm white on the inside where it counts.
Taking the game. Now, for instance, you mentioned 30 grand, and my contention to be with that was that in New York City, you cannot make a movie for 30 grand.
Right.
Yes, you could make it if it's just a couple and it's one guy with a camera and a microphone following them around.
Yeah, look at the guy that did the Florida projects.
Right.
He's known for making extremely low budget to micro budget films, like from $3,000 to $5,000.
Right.
But what he does is he basically like he picks a subject, he stays with them for a while, and then he improvises a lot of the stuff. He's sort of like Curb Your Enthusiasm. He has an outline and lets them freeball whatever, and then he works around that. So and then they shape the film from that. But there's no, they're not sitting there writing an actual script, getting professional actors. He just creates the situations and then let them do whatever they want, and then finds the movie from there.
Right, but, But you're not saying that the lack of writing or is what makes it cheap.
No, what I'm saying is,
if it were written, it would be as cheap.
No, what it is that if you have, let's go on to numbers. Let's say I write a 90-minute movie. Okay, you have 90 pages, and you're going to shoot it cheaply for 12 days. That is about 7 to 8 pages a day of dialogue that your actors have to remember. That's way too much for an actor to remember.
If you're trying to do it like ultra low budget, like SAG, you still have to meet the minimum, which is like 150 or whatever it is now, 150 per actor.
Well, no, but my point being is that you can't have an actor remember 8 pages of dialogue a day for insane. 12 days within a 2-week period. It is impossible. It'll blow people's brains out. So that's why you get more characters involved and less dialogue and improvised dialogue. So if you're looking to write, the next Shakespeare movie or a movie where the words mean something, is not it. You want to just write cool scenes, and then you got to get actors who are trained in improvisation who can bring the scenes to life.
Or get like one actor and the other ones are just non-actors, and just say, okay, this is what the situation is, and let the actor kind of control the scene from their point of view. Yeah.
So let's bring some structure to this. So you tell me where $30,000 or $60,000 or $120,000 goes. Give me an idea of what a budget looks like and where that would go.
It goes back to my first question, which was, where do you want this film to land? Pick a tier. Pick theatrical all the way to YouTube Red.
So first off, in your estimation, the very first thing you need to do is decide where you want to go.
No, the first thing you should do is know what your audience is, and then gear to that. Because I mean, if you're just making a movie just to make a movie, it doesn't mean shit at the end of the day if nobody wants to see it. So you should know what the goal of the movie is, and if you have your target audience, then you work backwards from there, like everything.
Okay.
Right. So I'm saying platform, he's saying audience.
Yeah, audience
is essentially the same. It's
not really the same, but
it's how people are getting it.
Right. I mean, somehow you have to have a target, either the audience in his point of view and the platform in my point of view. So you tell me your imaginative $30 movie. Where do you want to put it?
I would assume most young filmmakers want some artistic merit and some monetary success. So I guess that would mean somewhere between art house showings.
Oh, no. For 30 grand, you're making
what I'm saying is, I guess what they would be looking for is
we're making a calling card. We're making a calling card for 30 grand.
Okay, but I guess their objective would always be art house showing, film.
You gotta just get that out of your mind. There's no theatrical anymore. There's really no theatrical.
Not for 30 grand.
Yeah, even with like big stars.
Well, hold on. Let me finish what I'm saying. So I guess they would be looking for like Tribeca movie house type or whatever. Then maybe some festivals and hopefully
pick one.
Hang on. Let me finish. And hopefully to be picked up by a small platform. Okay, so that's what like most small filmmakers, I would assume, including myself, let's say, would be looking for something like that. So now, what's that budget? Where are we going?
Okay.
If you're trying to hit within that
understand
range.
Okay, so
the distribution is going to matter on the genre.
Yeah.
If you make a genre picture, you're more likely to get a distribution for the film.
And budget is based on your script itself. It's not based on anything other than that. So it's based on how many people you have in your cast, how many people you have in your crew, how many pages there are, how many locations there are. Based on all the logistics, how many times you spend pre-production, how many times you spend on production, how many times you pay in post-production. That's where the budget is. And it's also, like the goal nowadays, like for me, like I'm going to make a micro budget film that takes place in one location, but most of the money is not going to go to the cast or crew. It's going to go to marketing because, I'm just going to put it out on the web, and unless there's marketing budget, nobody's going to see it or hear about it because nobody knows who I am. Nobody, and even if the subject matter is like deep, they're not going to see it unless there's some kind of marketing push behind it.
I think after you make the film for 30 grand, you could then try to raise more money for marketing if it's good enough to garnish.
Well, as you said, it's a calling card. So, I mean, it's a way to kind of get your name out there. So, yes, right. It would be the same lottery win that we talked about earlier with like Clerks or whatever, where you made your movie for $25,000. You're trying to get it picked up by someone. And
again,
put more money into it.
With those films, it's like you always notice, like they always have, like every year there's going to be a little indie that made it through the noise. But think about that. So, like for every one movie, like Clerks or even Primer, for example, there is at least 100 to 200 to maybe even 5,000 films that just fall on the wayside.
Right. Sure.
And the quality might be as good. It might even be better, but because of the connections, and
luck is a huge part of it. Absolutely.
Luck in everything. Luck plays a part of it.
Right. I think having a niche market for $30 film is the thing. In LA, for instance, there's a lot of like gang type of movies being made, gang moral movies.
Yeah.
El Vato joins the gang. El Vato's brother dies.
They're very
El Vato,
slick looking too. They're very slick looking.
El Vato leaves the gang because he sees it as a bad way. And they make those movies all the time and they make money, or at least they made money in the DVD market. Mm-hmm. But they could play locally. They could play at Latino festivals and stuff like that. But your festivals don't pay you to show the films, do they? They just
unless in play like in a big festival, and then you could get a licensing fee. But again, you have to be connected, and you have to have a sales agent to be doing that shit for you.
Yeah, for 30 grand, the best you can make is a calling card movie, but then you got to get people's eyeballs on it. And calling card in what way? What do you want to show off? You want to show off your writing talent? You want to show off your directing talent? You want to show off your editing talent? For instance, Fede Alvarez. You heard of Fede Alvarez?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Fede Alvarez directed the remake of Evil Dead, and also what's the name of that movie?
Don't Breathe. That's the
Don't
name.
Breathe. Yes, Don't Breathe. Exactly. He's from Uruguay. He made a tiny little science fiction movie.
Oh, is that the one that did that little robot?
Yes.
Okay, that was beautiful. Yeah,
that was like a 2-minute movie.
Yeah. But he worked in a massive post-production facility.
Right. Yes.
So, he had the skill set and he did it.
Right.
And they were working, what was it? They're between the commercial shoots, they'll shoot like one or two things on their own, and they added those scenes and became like a 5-minute.
Right, and I think
it was
took
brilliant.
2 years to make, but that was his calling card in order to make it to Hollywood. And a few years later, he got to direct Evil Dead because Sam Raimi mentored him through the whole process and brought him in because he really liked the short film. Now, if you were to take the time, if you were to equate the time he spent and the equipment he used to make that 3-minute film, that would probably be about 60, 70, maybe 80 grand.
Yeah, but he had the skill set. So
right, he had the skill set.
It wasn't like anybody just like, like picked up the camera and did that. This guy had like post-production experience. I don't know if he was Nuke or Flame, but it's one of those high-end compositing tools that he nailed it, and it visually looked like as good as a Hollywood film. So that's why it's same thing with that guy that did in District 9. He had a short film first before he got District 9. So
and District 9 was great, and everything else he did after that wasn't.
Yeah,
he has 2 bombs in a row. That guy,
right?
Which was unfortunate, So anyway, it's time equates money. So you're gonna put money into it, which is gonna equal a big production value.
It's always that. It's always skill,
right?
Skill versus money. Yeah.
So for 30 grand, what we suggest is making a genre picture. Genre meaning horror, western, noir, romantic comedy, something like those lines.
You focus on something that there's an actual audience and who's craving it.
And improv, having actors who can improv.
Right.
Now, if you're going to get talented actors who are more than likely in SAG or AFTRA or one of those unions, right? They're going to cost you how much? What is the lowest you can pay them?
I haven't checked, but the last time was maybe 100 a day. That was like 10 years ago, so I don't know what it is now.
Probably like 150. 160 a day.
Yeah, but then you have to do all the paperwork for SAG, ultra low budget, and all this stuff. So
and once you do sell the film, you have to pay them the regular SAG budget.
Yeah, if you sell it.
As we talked about the other day, you mentioned this, but do you have to go with a union? Do you have to go with union actors?
No, you don't. No. But more than likely, if they're not in the union, they're probably not that good. They're not that serious either.
Can you?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That's a great point right there.
Make a film that's outside of the unions, and can you make it stellar that is outside the unions?
Can you sell it? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. Because again, like I said, the distribution model doesn't mean anything anymore. I don't know how that works legally, but you definitely cannot get nominated for any awards.
What do you mean?
Evidently, I'm very pro-union. I'm just asking.
Let's say luck hits you, and the movie plays one of the top 10, like at Southwest, Southwest, Tribeca, Cannes, Toronto. Then obviously at that point, if the movie's halfway decent, then you could even get into Spirit Awards. You could even get into the Academy, depending on.
Getting ahead of ourselves. Let's talk in reality. Let's talk in
absolutes.
In absolutes, yes. Something. Okay, you have 30 grand. What can you do with this 30 grand? Okay, pick a genre, Jason. What genre would you like to make for 30 grand?
No, okay. Now for 30 grand, as you said, we can't do an action film.
No.
We can't do a sci-fi film unless it's very quiet, like
a sci-fi film.
You can do a sci-fi film.
You could do like something like Moon, for example.
Yes,
Moon. I was just thinking Moon.
One character.
You said it.
One character.
You could do more than one character, but it's one location, really.
2 characters.
Or even something like Primer, even though you didn't like it. I mean, now it could be shot very cheaply.
I couldn't even watch the other shit either.
It's essentially 3 guys in a cardboard box.
Actually, I liked Upstream Color.
You did?
I did like.
I gave up 20 minutes in. I'm like, this is just.
That was cool. I just you liked it.
No, did not like it.
You didn't like Upstream Color?
No.
Oh wow.
I love Primer.
But the guy is connected with Soderbergh, and Soderbergh, gives him opportunities. So
right.
So
okay.
again, so
still,
like
it's the calling card. Right now, we're outside of everything. We have no calling card. We have no mentors.
Right.
We have no unions. We got nothing. You got to make a movie.
Something like Primer, again, that's 3 guys in a cardboard box. Really, is what the movie is. Yeah. So it could be done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So let's say it's something like that. It's a small story like that.
Right.
Okay.
Now, you want to shoot this. See, when you don't have any equipment, it is better to shoot film as quickly as possible within like a 2-week a period. So you spend less money renting, right? Because then the weekends the equipment is free. So you want to shoot
So
maybe
you rent on Friday and by
Return Monday, yeah.
return Mondays.
Or if you try to rent it on a holiday weekend,
Yeah.
and then you get like 4 or 5 days out of it.
Right.
Okay.
Right. When I shot
Instead of
Utopia,
1 day rental, you get 4 days out of 1 day.
Well,
rental.
Interesting.
when I shot Utopia, I shot a Memorial Day weekend. So I got it for 4 days for 1 day rental.
And you also, obviously, all your actors were off from work that day or whatever.
Yes. And I had 2 SAG actors
Okay.
who were willing to work for free.
Right.
Nobody got paid. I didn't make any money in the movie. It cost me about $3,000 to shoot.
Mhm.
$3,000 just
That's
for
not
a
bad.
12-minute movie.
That's
Yeah,
not
but
bad.
again, it was like 3 characters,
Yeah.
few
And
locations.
you did mess up a car.
We fucked up a car.
Did you?
Yeah, but we can't discuss it here because there's some legalities involved. But again, we did this at a time when getting locations from the city was free.
Uh-huh.
Now the city charges you $300 a permit.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Because you have to have insurance at least $1 million.
Well, we had insurance through my
million
production company.
Okay.
Through production company I worked at, they let me the insurance, and that way you can get the permits. But now to get the permits, you have to spend $300.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't do that shit anymore.
They don't do that anymore. So
And your excellent sound department was also free. So there you are.
Oh shit.
are
Are you selling yourself there, Jason?
I'm just talking facts.
And sound wise, somebody lent me their Zoom, just like when we shot last weekend when we shot the Zombies from the Bronx, we used one Zoom.
Right.
And it was very little dialogue. It was like 3 pages of dialogue, 3 characters in the same room, and we had the mic right on top of them. Now, usually you want to have labs separate. You don't want people walking to each other's lines.
Boom or something,
Right.
a dedicated sound person, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And we sound person. I told the guy, just hold the boom up like that. And yeah, well, technology has made things cheaper.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
for
but
the,
that's
I don't own a Zoom. I could borrow a Zoom or rent a Zoom. So right
Sure.
there, it's money.
I have one.
You can borrow a Canon 5D and it's just a $300 camera now, and you can just make it happen.
Right. But then you got to feed people.
Right.
I spent $110 just on food that night. That's for 1 day.
That's not bad.
Not even for 1 day. For
There
like
wasn't even that many people you had.
5 hours.
Yeah.
We had a lot of food left over. We did. It was $110 for
72 pizzas.
Yeah,
That's
but then
72
some people
pizzas.
can't eat cheese. Some people can't eat flour.
Those people suffer.
You have to deal with that too.
No,
That's how God says those people should not live.
Well,
then obviously they're not going to work with you again after that. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So
right, of
going
course.
back to our hypothetical script, a genre picture with dialogue the actors can make up. Okay, now I'm starting to save you money right now. And remember, we shoot it in 12 days. There's a
Sure.
movie called My Sister's Sister. It was shot over 12 days. It played at Tribeca, and it had 3 known stars in it. Emily Blunt was one of the stars.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Shit.
Rosemary DeWitt, Mark Duplass,
Mhm.
the famous one. The good-looking one who can act.
Right. The guy was actually doing okay.
Right.
They're
But-
both doing okay. They're both doing really
both
Oh,
doing
no, I
okay.
know
They
that.
have
Yes,
TV
of course.
shows.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any Mark Duplass films? Jason?
I've seen quite a few of them.
Okay.
They're good people, though. I met
They're
them like when I had my film in.
They're nice guys. Yeah.
they had Puffy Chair when I had my movie, my short
Mhm.
film, and I can't
Puffy
think of
Chair is
the
probably my favorite of their films. Yes, I like Puffy Chair.
I
Again,
like
3
the one I
characters.
love very much.
Right, 3 characters. Shot inside an apartment. Boom. Yeah, Bob's your uncle. But then remember, these are what I call granola films. They call them mumblecore.
Yeah.
Right.
I call them granola films.
It's
And this is, by the
basically-
way, what I think of when I think of indie, because this is what an indie film used to be. I don't know what an indie film is now.
Well, it's really,
You know.
really white people in indie films.
There's white people in the films, yeah.
That's the
That is
bottom
not
line.
You ever seen
Because white angst films,
Madison
Okay.
for Melancholy?
That's good.
That's a good film. You seen that,
Yeah.
Jason?
I haven't seen
That's
this.
a black version of a mumblecore film, and it
Okay.
stars Maya Sinak, and it was done by the same guy that did Moonlight. That was his first movie.
Yes,
interesting.
it's very good. It's just a
Yeah.
couple on the first date,
In San
walking
Francisco.
around San Francisco, dealing with political issues and romantic
Yeah, it's
issues.
really well done.
Really well done.
It's
But
slow, but it's really done.
it's 2 characters talking, and that's written down. Well, did they ad lib that?
Yeah,
It did.
Yeah.
Well, why Senak is a comic? Stand-up comic will
Sure.
know how to ad lib.
Right.
He has a
again.
really good show now on HBO, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, and I'm sure he was SAG by the time he shot that film.
Mhm.
He must have been on SAG when he shot that.
No, I don't think so.
No.
No,
All
because
right.
he was just more of a stand-up about that. Because he wasn't even on the Daily Show. Or maybe he just started in Daily Show. So he might have, he might have been SAG because he was on the Daily Show at that point.
Yeah, but so let's say now you borrow a camera for free and batteries.
And you get the crew. Let's say the crew gives you for free, but you still have to feed them.
So
let's say for 12 days, like Leo said, and he only shot for half a day. So let's say he spends just for each day he spends $120 for food for like maybe 7 crew members and maybe 3 or 4. No,
let's say $150 a day.
Okay, $150
for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
So I just want to release them before dinner, which is impossible.
For about 10 people, let's even place 15 people. You have cast and crew. If you multiply that by 12 days,
15 is a lot of people.
Yeah, but let's say just give you.
15 people. Right.
We're talking about $1,500 or $2,000 for food.
You're talking $2,000 for 12 days just to feed them. Minimum. And then that doesn't include getting them to the location. Doesn't include any equipment. Doesn't include any locations.
We have cars for free when we did his film because a friend of ours, I think he got fired because of this. Remember our friend BR was working at Zipcar.
Oh yeah. We got like
you guys have a couple of zip cars.
We had 2 zip cars, right? I
kept
one. I think he got fired. I think he got fired because of that. We had zip cars for 2 weeks.
You guys were sort of sponsored by Zipcar for a minute,
right? Because we were shooting at one point. All the locations were in Jersey. We shot most of the film in New Jersey.
Yeah, we shot in this like
dirty
warehouse,
disgusting.
That basically became a condo complex.
It's a luxury condo now, luxury condo, but then it was empty. And how much money were you spending on food? You had a huge crew. You had a huge cast. This cast was bigger than the crew, actually.
Yeah, the cast was like 15, and the crew was maybe 10. So like 25 people total, I think.
A lot of people.
Hey, but it was like the majority of the film takes place in really one location. So one big, huge warehouse. We're looking at, I think I spent like $5,000 on the food, and it was, it was a hit or miss. Some days was good, some days
Yeah. What the reason though you need such a big crew is because you're carrying a lot of equipment with you. Even a camera, you're gonna have extra lenses.
Yeah.
You're gonna have lights. You're gonna have reflectors, and you can't run around with this stuff. You gotta be careful with it because it's very expensive, and you want to break it. So the camera guy, he's gotta have at least 1 or 2 people with him. Yeah. That's already 3 people.
Yeah, you need
even if they're doing the lighting themselves, right? That's 3 people, right? And then the food, you gotta have a person who's gonna bring the snacks and everything,
Yeah,
one person can do it, but he's gonna be carrying a lot of stuff with them. Then you have wardrobe and makeup. Hopefully, one person will do wardrobe, makeup, and hair. Why you need to have wardrobe, makeup, and hair? Because if you have women are more touchy about their hair, and also if the girl has long hair, and one scene her hair is in front of her body, and the second scene, and then later on the hair's in back, someone's gonna keep track of that.
Sure.
And go back and fix it.
And it's also, I mean, you want to put the money on camera as opposed to spend it in the background, So like, it's all about production values too. Regardless of how much money you have, you want to make it the best looking thing that you can make it at that time,
And so we already have 5 people on the cast, right? And you have the director who's not gonna get paid. He's the poor bastard who's gonna make the less amount of money.
I get paid shit.
Yeah, neither did I. Then you have the producer who's gonna be with your back, who's not gonna get paid either.
Mm-hmm.
We had an AD who got fired because the guy was the worst.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I had to be the AD, so I became the bad guy in the director. So it's kind of, and then you lose your focus on what you're trying to do.
Is that the AD's job to be the bad guy for the director?
Yeah, because they have to keep you on schedule. So that I mean, that you really like one of the most crucial parts is you need a really good AD. So otherwise, to keep you basically continuing and moving forward. Otherwise you're going to be stuck, and then you're going to fall behind, and then 12 days become 2 weeks additional, and another sometimes.
So now you're expecting 3 people to work really hard all day long. The AD, the first AD, the director, and the DP have to work all day long, very hard.
And then the director has to go afterwards to look to see what he's missing and try to get coverage after the next day.
Director doesn't sleep for 12 days.
Yeah.
You don't sleep for 12 days. Your stomach is in a knot because you're burning people's time. If you have money, you're burning people's money.
I sleep like on the first day. I mean, the first night I slept pretty well, but then, I mean, right before the first day of shoot, but then the second, third, and fourth day, maybe I got an hour and a half or something, because it's like you're always concerned. Okay, why didn't get this shots? Let me figure out how to get what I need to get from the next scene, so this way I'll balance it out. It doesn't look like I'm missing something.
That's why the more money you have on a production, the less stress certain people will have on their jobs. That helps as well. So if you have $1 million and you're shooting a movie that's going to look like $1 million movie, you're going to have a lot more people in the crew who are taking some of the stress off the director, so he could concentrate more on being artistic and creative rather than being, the bad person on the set, the whipping boy, the producer, and everything else.
Now, okay, you made a comparison, kind of an allusion to the idea of, to compare to me, from my field of like making an album, like
a hit record, right?
A hit record, right? You're bringing in a band, writing songs, making
it's
albums.
the same concept.
Yeah,
it's a good point.
Here's the thing, I can do that. Now,
have you done it though? Let's try that.
Well, not exactly, but I've certainly done similar. Now, I've done the mechanics of it. I have not done, of course, I have no hit records, but I've done the mechanics of it. I've done the work of it. And now, when you're younger, and of course, when you're younger, and everybody kind of is starving and works together, and everybody kind of pulls together and creates a communal experience and a commune of workers and artists looking to work together, and everybody contributes their time because they have no money.
Right.
That kind of thing gets done all the time. So is, I guess what I'm asking is the function of this that we can't do this because we're old now? I mean, is it everybody like,
it's just
now everybody wants to be paid, of course.
It's just like, like it's not that. The thing is like, the older you get, you realize like, you get favors, but you also want to give something in return. So like for me now, like if I'm working with somebody, I need to give them a bare minimum salary regardless, because it's kind of in good faith, because they're extending themselves to you. So like and vice versa, like I'll help out somebody, they help me out, but I still want to give them something at the end of the day because, we all have bills to pay. So like you can't just like start expecting favors and mooching up everybody, and then when you finish one project and move on to another one, do the same thing. Eventually, that shit is going to catch up to you, and people don't want to work with you anymore.
Sure, that's absolutely true.
In my case, the reason why I avoid doing a micro budget film, let's say a film for $30,000, is that I will have to write the script, which will take at least 4 weeks, at least. So it's 4 weeks of working full time, of not making any money to pay my rent.
Yeah.
Right. And then let's say, okay, I have the script. We all like it. First draft, we all love it. Impossible, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so
unless it's like one of those shitty movies, like what was it, a Hurricane Heist or some shit like that.
Right.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look. So let's say 6 weeks. Let's say by miracles in 6 weeks, you're happy to with a script you have in your hand.
Okay.
All right. It's very quick. 6 weeks. Okay, we're gonna start shooting now. For the next 2 weeks, you're gonna spend casting, right? Now you're gonna have, if somebody gonna jump on board with you to help you do all the locations and everything. Are you gonna pay a location scout or location manager to help you find all the locations? Or you're gonna just shoot? One thing you can do is you can write it to shoot it in your own apartment or other people's apartments. The problem there is that the day you got to shoot in your friend's apartment, he's sick, she's sick.
Yeah, something
they
comes
have
up,
friends
right?
over.
Right.
You can't come in. We had that problem when we shouldn't Miss You, where we told our friends, "Oh, you can come shoot in my apartment, but the air conditioner is in the window." I said, "Okay, we'll remove it." No, my boyfriend has to remove it. I go, "No, we have a bunch of big guys in our crew. We can remove the air conditioner, put it back in." No, I don't want anybody to touch about my boyfriend.
Wow.
So we had to. I don't know.
Now you're waiting for somebody.
Those are things that happen. And I said, okay, so we had to push that shoot to another day. And then the day it was going to happen, we had to wait for the boyfriend to come home to do that. And then push our shooting to way late into the night. And then you got to keep all these people around, all these actors and crew around.
Right, of course.
On the freaking short film because we can't get so we're not allowed to move air conditioner from the window. And shit like that happens.
Yeah.
But let me interject. So, yeah, of course. No, what you're explaining is basically the mechanics of making a film the way I make an album, using guerrilla tactics. Basically, I call it guerrilla audio.
Right. For 30 grand, for 30 grand, that's what you're doing. Right.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, those are the hazards. That's the thing you have to pay in order to avoid having to pay the cash.
Basically, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then remember, in his film, one day the craft service was fucking everything up. He was paying for hot food, and we were never getting hot food, so they had to be fired. And then we found a food truck who was always parked outside the set, who was catering to other workers in the area. And we said,
the food was really good.
Well, but can you feed us? Can you make food for 25 people tonight for this amount of money? Yes, no problem. When they showed up, they wanted more money.
Yeah,
they're holding the food hostage on us. And we had to pay, I don't know what he paid because it was his budget.
I don't remember.
I know it was supposed to be like 120. He ended up paying like 175. Why? Because people think, oh, you're making a movie.
Yeah.
You must be from Hollywood. You must have money.
Yeah, because
that happens too.
Yeah, because they think like everybody does, like their budget is like, ridiculous money, because when they say they're making a movie, so,
All right. So I think we've covered about everything you want to know, Jason. Sorry. You have any more questions, Jason?
Tell me about the movie that you made, and I don't mean like specifically the movie, but the budget that you used and how it
was spent,
how it broke down, and how you were able to use that budget to create your film and to market it, et cetera, et cetera. Can you give us an idea?
I think you should even be more generic than that and explain to us when you started writing it, when you finished writing it, how long did it take to write, for instance? How long did it take to write?
Even how did you finance?
How long did it take to write?
I think I started in 2004. So I did research, and then I wrote my first draft a year later, and then it was like fine-tuning it for another year and a half. So like 2008 when we shot it, most of the time is basically spending logistics. So like what's good about me, like I'm very I could break down a script and also like break down like where the shooting schedule is, and I'm get like the most bang for the buck regarding how many actors we need on a specific date, what locations we need. So I'm really good with that stuff. And also, so what happens is like the majority of my time I spend maybe like 3 or 4 years focusing on getting the script where it is and all the logistics in place.
So you took 4 years doing that.
Yeah, and then it was.
Well, he was working full time doing all this stuff.
But then the thing is, because I knocked it out in 9 days, but then most of the money, like 80% of the money went to the actual production. So if looking back now, if I split it up and did half the money on the production and the other half on marketing, it might have gone further. And also, instead of hiring like certain people, it's a lesson learned now. Instead of hiring like friends that I worked with before, I could have hired actual better staff members that could assist me instead of just focusing on like, oh yeah, I'm going to work with people that I worked with before, but I'm thinking they're going to give me the same amount of energy and production value as they do when we work for other companies.
The sound guy was taking about 10 minutes to cross a 5-foot room.
Yeah.
That's how slow he was working.
Yeah. And we haven't spoken since then. So,
yeah. The guy was just
and then right after that, I worked on his movie. I didn't charge him anything. I was the first AD and producer, and he screwed me over on that too. So,
yeah. So the whole thing is you want to hire professionals or people who have experience at their jobs, which means you have to pay them.
Yeah, and then especially if you're not paying them a lot of the people that work on big, unless they're really passionate about your project, they're not going to put the time and effort in. And if something better comes along, they're just going to jump ship because it's more money.
Right.
The great thing about mine, like we had like a great makeup artist. She was amazing.
She works on SNL now.
Yeah, and we had I had some really good people too. So like for example, the production manager, she probably did like 2 or 3 days, and she just elevated the stuff. Like I told her what I needed, and she, without me doing anything more than that, and she'll send me like every day, she'll send me some look and feels and stuff like that, and then. Where after the second meeting, she had like everything I didn't need to bother with her. Like for me, like if I hire somebody, I want them to do what they're supposed to be doing, and I don't like micromanaging. If I have to micromanage somebody, then I get agitated, and then that becomes more heavy on what I need to be doing. So I start looking to get out and get somebody else.
And same thing happens with the actors. You don't want to be micromanaging actors either. Yeah. Actors, by the time they get on set, not only should know their lines, they should know their character as well.
Yeah, and that's how I usually work. Like usually when we on the set itself, I'll let them do what they need to do, and if they're not really hitting the marks, but if they're not projecting the way that I think the character should go, I'll just give them a suggestion. But at the end of the day, it's what they're bringing into the table, not what I'm thinking. So, but there has to be a mesh somewhere.
Now, where did most of your budget go?
The actual production itself, locations like cast, crew, because all the post was pretty much through favors because I'm not gonna knock myself, but I think I'm a really good editor, and we had, like me and Leo he had a connection to find another company that got us a really good look and feel for the film, and then I hired this person that does the motion graphics, who now works on a late show, and I was like, basically I charged, I paid him like ridiculous money, and he did the motion graphics for like in 2-3 days. So the post wasn't expensive, but if I had to pay for post, the budget would have went from 75, 80 to 150.
Because you're not going to shoot, even on digital, you're not going to shoot exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah.
I explained to you today, it's better to shoot on a negative, not a negative look, but on a flat look. So then you could color correct that to whichever side you want.
Really good cameras are like that now. Like if you use the Arri Alexa or the Red, they all shoot in like very flat. So this way you have the range, you have the darks and the highs, and you could just do whatever you want with it.
The film looks like mud. It's like a brown mud when you look at it.
Yeah.
But then that gives you a lot higher range because it has a lot of information there.
It's those 70s commercials, very, very flat, like the colors are muted.
Yeah, they're muted. Yeah, but then with that, it really popped out really nicely when you do the color correction. And that takes somebody with skill and time and money.
Right, of course.
It all takes money. Especially in New York City, it all costs money.
So you found that you were able to put all of your budget really mostly on screen.
Yeah, and the problem is, like, looking back now, if I put half the money, then my movie would have went further if I spend the other half on marketing.
So you think that you suffered for having put so much money in the screen?
Yeah, because I didn't really have anything after that, and then the rest of the money was festival fees, and then that came out to like $5,000 to $10,000, and that's technically my marketing budget. But because again, there's no connection there, and there's no real stars. It's only going to get so far unless somebody sees it and they love it.
First, I could go on my cell phone right now, right, and for the next 12 days, because it takes about 12 days to get about 80 minutes worth of usable footage, right? Make a movie. Then I'm going to spend the next 8 weeks cutting it together, because that's probably how long it will take me to cut a 12-hour film.
Yeah.
It will take 8 weeks. Yes, 8 weeks. Only 2 hours, and 1 hour and a half, it will take 8 weeks to get it there.
A lot of times,
But one second, my point being is that if I shot a film for 12 days, then spend 2 weeks, then spend another 6 weeks editing it, that's already up to 2 months. Now for 2 months, I haven't made any money. I've spent money feeding people at least the first 2 weeks, right? And now I get the finished film. Film is finished. And the film is really funny. It's really funny. Now what?
Well, now you have to get it out, of course. You have to get the word out.
How do you get the word out?
You don't have any budget. You can't do that.
Right. Now, advertising costs a lot of money.
Sure.
Marketing
in general, PR in general.
Submitting to festivals is like burning money. We know somebody who made a short film and they just sent it to all the top tier festivals and they had no chance of getting in. That is just burning money. Burning money. You got to know.
Is there an entry fee for all those?
Most of them,
yeah. At least $40 to $200, depending on the festival. And
now, sorry, did you self-finance?
Yeah. Yes.
Have you made any money from that film?
Maybe less than 1,000. Because again, there's no marketing budget for it. So it's on some platforms. It's on Amazon, and so it's not on iTunes, but it's on some other on-demand streaming sites. But but unless there's no budgeting to get like anybody eyeball. So,
do you continue to send it to festivals?
No, you only have like a limited time festival. So
you
have like a year and a half, and then after that, it basically becomes
seen as old as your old. Yeah,
they don't want it. They they should tell you any film finished before the summer of 2018. Yeah, any film finished.
Yeah, there's always a cutoff.
Yeah, after January of 2017 is acceptable. And sure, you can lie, but then you have to go back and re-render your film and change the dates on them.
Right.
Yeah. For $30,000, you can do a calling card movie. You can probably get into a third-tier festival. If you're lucky, a second-tier festival. If you submit it to the right festivals. If you make a horror film with Asian people in it, you will submit it to Asian horror festivals.
Yeah, you got to find the niche and just go after that audience.
Yeah. Right. I mean, you read my latest script. That's a $5 million script. To do it right, you got to spend at least $5 million.
Really?
Yeah, Bolita. It's a $5 million movie if you get stars in it.
Yeah,
Yeah, because without stars, you need a lot of talented people to try to pull that comedy off.
Yeah, unless you flip it and shoot it some like, not New York, shoot it like, let's say like some, like Uruguay, for example.
Right.
If you go to Uruguay and just do a local film there, you know, you become the big pond in a little lake. I mean, the big fish in there.
Yeah, but again, I don't know anybody there who I can contact to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Like you can't go to Greece and say, I want to make a movie here. Greece has its own film industry.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's you know, I mean, I could go there and shoot something on my own, but you know, I'm not connected to anybody in the Greek film market either. So even though like now, like the Greek industry, it's called the weird genre. So we have like David Lynch kind of directors over there, which is kind of cool. And they're pushing the boundaries in from like shitty Greek films back in the day to
Dogtooth is amazing. You seen Dogtooth, Jason?
No.
Yeah,
watch Dogtooth. It's probably the best Greek film in the last 10 years.
Suntan, have you seen that? That's on Netflix.
You mentioned it. It's good, Suntan?
Yeah, that's really good too. So, you know.
But Dogtooth will blow your mind. It's a kind of freaky film that you will like.
It's David Lynch, basically a Greek David Lynch film.
Yeah, but much smarter. David Lynch does a lot of weird stuff to be weird.
Yeah, it gets a little too postmodern where you're like, all right, this is, you know, it's just weird for the sake of weird.
Yeah, but then the Dogtooth guy, for example, now he's making Hollywood movies.
Yeah.
And like what? He did it literally after 3 films, you know?
Right.
And
he did The Lobster.
What are the odds of that? You know?
He did the movie The Lobster.
Lobster, right.
And the killing of the sacred...
Killing of a sacred deer.
Right. So do you feel like your film was worth it? Do you feel like you...
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I got some lessons learned out of it. I know what to do next time. Like, that's why, like, the next thing I'm doing is going to be extremely micro budget, maybe less than 10,000. So that's what I'm working now. And it's like really 1 or 2 locations where like maybe 4 or 5 actors. So I'm keeping it really nimble. And then the other thing, I have this other film that I mentioned earlier, but that's all exteriors. So unless the really, really micro budget blows up, then I'm not making the other one, you know?
Now, how are you shooting? These are short films that you're shooing?
No.
Features.
I'm done with short films.
Features. Okay. Yeah. Now, do you feel like that's a better way to go? I mean, like, obviously, clearly you do, but I mean, is it better to take that $30,000 and shoot 3?
Yeah, there's no market for short films.
Well, it's just festivals, as you said. They're calling cards. So if they're going to be calling cards, I mean, is it better to shoot a 3-minute, brilliant-looking movie or a feature?
No, you still got to write it. You still got to write something brilliant.
No, because I mean, there's no point to it. Because I mean, why do that? Because if you make a short film and it's brilliant, just put it on Netflix. I mean, put it on YouTube right now, and spend that money instead of spending on the festival. Spend the money marketing it and trying to get eyeballs.
Well, even then yeah, I mean,
and then you could do like from Uruguay, for example. You know,
right. I mean, is that worth it? Is it better to do that?
For me, like, you know, like, I mean, I've done like ridiculous amount of shorts, and I'm done with it. So like, I want to like live a, you know, like I'm gonna be 50 this year, so I'm gonna leave a legacy. So if I make a decent movie, I'll be happy with that. And if everybody sees it, fine. If nobody sees it, as long as I'm happy with it, I'm good with that.
Right, and that's what I was saying earlier. It was like
that's where I'm in my life at this point. I could
for some artistic merit, you know.
Yeah, I could give a fuck who sees it, who doesn't see it, you know. So.
Yeah, I mean, my current script, I'd rather have somebody buy it off of me, unless they're crazy enough to let me direct it. And but you know, right now, I have no idea what's going to happen to it.
I'll make you an offer. We'll talk.
He's rich in Tampa.
I guess so.
Rich motherfucker.
I'm making Tampa money now.
You want to buy an option on it? Option for a year.
$3 goes very far.
Yeah, but
isn't that an open carry bullshit? No.
You know,
no, stand your ground shit.
There's a lot of media being made now.
Yeah, so it's a lot of noise. So you know, there's no way you can stand that unless you have some kind of in.
And you have to try to get to production companies who are making the stuff worthwhile. You can put a movie on YouTube and expect people to spend $3 to rent it, or people gonna watch Netflix that already paid $8 a month for.
Yeah.
You know, what you rather do? Spend $3 on a movie with unknown quantities. You know, a small film shot in one room with 2 people you've never seen before, or you rather watch the latest episode of Luke Cage.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know,
that's a great point. You know, I mean, you know, you're basically chasing dollars and you don't have the marketing for it. So
Well,
It's like-
people
it's
have
like-
limited bandwidth, and there's a lot more platforms now.
It's like music. You want to hear you hear some great indie band that costs $10 on iTunes. Or you want to spend $15 on the latest Kanye West album that that you've liked in the past.
Yeah, look at and they released it recently for free. He put out 2 albums recently on his website. So
Yeah.
just like there's Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Because he's gonna make his money touring.
Yeah.
He knows he'll make his money touring. Films can't tour anymore. Films land somewhere and that's it. Let's say for Kevin Smith, for instance, he made that pretty bad movie, Yoga Hosers, right?
Mhm.
His fan base will go see it. I went to see it because I was just interested, and it wasn't good. It wasn't really.
No.
It was well done, sure.
That's all
Right? He has the craft sense for it, but it wasn't funny. It had no point to
There
it.
we
Really.
should.
Let me see.
What's
But he's very entertaining.
But I'm saying
He's
He
an
know-
entertaining guy. He knows.
right, but he knew his window was to have a theatrical release, have his sycophants see it, and after that, once it lands on platforms, it is what it is. Whatever money they pay you to show on their platforms.
It's different for him now because he's got a built-in audience.
Right, and he knows how much money. That's another thing. You get marketers know how much money your movie can make before you even make it.
Yeah, true.
They'll know. Oh, you have this person, this genre, and this is your quadrant. Okay, you'll make this much money. You should make this movie for this much money.
That's important to know.
Yeah. Avengers, Disney could spend $140 million doing Avengers and make back $2 billion because they knew they were going to make it. They spent more than that. I think they spent like $220 million making that movie.
Because ultimately-
do marketing.
Now, let me ask you: Would you make a film, or to try and make money? Like, I guess would you make something specifically to make a return?
Yeah, of course. I mean, at the end of the day,
obviously everybody's always looking for a return. But I'm saying, would you make something specifically geared and engineered to create a return for yourself?
but you can't control that.
You
There's
can't
no control that.
Yeah, I mean, you have to know that your movie is either very scary or very funny.
Well, that's my point.
One-
Even
on
with
the-
that, that doesn't really.
You can never guarantee.
Right. Reverse engineer it then. Let's reverse
Yeah.
engineer.
Even if you I mean, there's no guarantees,
No.
No, you can't guarantee anything, but you can put certain things in place to give yourself the best leg up possible.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you're going to get your return on investment.
Genres,
Again, you
Again,
still
like, it's a hit or miss.
marketing. It's still trying to get into the right festivals. Okay, let's say you get to the right festival. Let's say you directly want to make money. That means you want to bring it.
Yeah,
to,
listen. And I'm sorry to interrupt.
Okay.
But remember, like Caesar was in a Muppet movie that played Sundance. Remember
right.
That was like maybe like 7, 8 years ago.
The locksmith.
Yeah, it was like maybe like they spent like 20 to 40,000 on this thing.
It was fun. It was a good movie. I liked it.
Yeah, it was all right. I mean,
Yeah.
like it's a
Low budget.
Yeah, it's like a Muppet film, but
Like 3-4 actors tops.
I don't think they made the money back from that shit.
Probably
I
not,
mean.
no.
I don't see it on Netflix. I don't see it anywhere. Even like maybe it might be on a streaming site here and there or iTunes.
It
But
was on Netflix for a little bit.
oh, was it?
Years ago.
This is before Netflix was basically making content.
When Netflix was
Yeah.
just putting, I mean, Netflix still puts out junk when it comes to movies, and this is
Mhm.
like when they were just grabbing stuff on Netflix.
Sure.
They'll buy anything.
Yeah,
on Netflix
like if
for
this was
content.
if this was like say back in the 80s,
Right before they were making their own stuff, they were just grabbing everything.
I
right.
could make a low budget movie and we could make our money back right away because you have the VCR market,
Right.
But now that's most of the money went to more. Everybody made ridiculous money from that because everybody was clamoring for content. Now it's like there's more content out there. You have all this crazy amount of cable channels, crazy amount of streaming sites, and everybody's basically just trying to say, "Hey, look at me,"
Like-
unless you have a trifecta of everything, subject matter, talent, and pedigree. You're not going to stand out.
If you have an indie script right now, you could bring it to Netflix and say, "Hey, Netflix, buy the script, you can make it." They'll buy the script from you, they'll make it, and they'll put in some known stars into it, and it'll still be a pretty bad movie. Like there's a movie right now with Lucy Liu that she plays
I
like
see that.
the romantic comedy. I couldn't get through it,
Listen,
but it's
everything with Lucy Liu in it is a terrible movie.
okay. Her and
Man, why are you hating on Lucy Liu?
yeah, we could
She's a
like
gorgeous girl.
and they're the known commodities. The next people to see this movie just because they are known commodities, and that's what matters. Is either watch a movie with nobody or watch a movie with people . You know, and that's how you make money. You put people in the screen that you know.
Any other questions?
Yeah, because I mean, it isn't that we shooting it down, but we know how the system works. And sure, there are your random cases that might get through the cracks, but those are very random.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing in music. It's like I said, it's like the example I just made. You know, you can never guarantee a hit. There's no such thing, but you can create certain things that will open the channels for you. It will send you in that direction, and then the rest of it is up to the universe.
And you put it on YouTube, maybe you'll get 42 million hits.
Right.
Well, I mean, you might get like 10 hits.
Or you might get 10 hits.
Right. It doesn't mean in the quality either, you know. So.
Or you can spend money on marketing that song, you know, on different platforms. Hey, this is a great song. You should listen to it. And maybe you get more hits that way.
Look at like going back to like we'll focus on music. Look at Moby a few years ago. He like his album didn't do so well, but he licensed everything, made his money back, and then and then he, because it was licensed in every commercial on the planet, it started selling again. So like you have to find like what works for you, and then just find auxiliary markets. You know, so like
can you do that with film?
You could, like, for example, I have a friend that made a documentary a few years ago, and it never played like any big festivals, but he tours around in universities, and he gets speaking fees for the film. And then now it's like maybe like 6 years in, he's still touring the same movie and just talking. And now he's moving on to another film. But
is he touring the movie? Like he literally talks about this movie?
Yeah, he shows the movie and they have a discussion afterwards. So
was the movie created to have a hook that a university would want it in to talk about it, discuss it?
No, he had to find the artist for it. So
it's a documentary. It's a documentary.
It was a documentary. It's about like basically growing up poor and going to like a private school, for example, and so he basically decided, like, after wasn't getting into like decent festivals, let me go the educational route, and it's working for him. So now he makes more money from speaking engagements. I don't think the movie like he made his money back, but because of the speaking engagements, he's covered. So like you got to find your niche, and you got to find the audience for it, and then just like start targeting that.
Great.
So success means different things to different people.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if you don't have the money, it all comes down to luck. You got to write a great script, which of course takes talent, but it's also gonna be lucky. Then you got to, cast the right people that really bring the script forward, that really match the characters, and they have the talent to pull it off. And then you need the crew behind you who's gonna, sweat it out with you for the long hours. It isn't like it isn't like somebody with a guitar. It's like Bob Dylan with a guitar and a record player. You can record a great song and then maybe bring it to somebody and say, look, now pay for me,
Or you need somebody to navigate. Like, for example,
that's stopped being that 40 years ago anyway, too.
Right.
I know what you mean, though.
Like, I read like Jerry Winthrop's book, right, about him making it. And he basically made John Denver. John Denver was playing some kind of like rinky-dink bar in New York City,
right,
and nobody was going to see him. He stumbled into this, and he says, I could make him into a star. And literally, like, if you have somebody that's basically believes in you and they have connections, sky's the limit.
And money are it. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah,
so
it's, I mean, again, if you have 30 grand to throw away on a one in a million shot, sure.
Yeah, I'd rather put it in BitTorrent. I mean, Bitcoins or some shit,
Right.
You might get more money, more return. So if you're trying to make money back, film is not the way.
Screw movies.
It could be done. It could be done, but you still need you need people behind you. Even these people who shoot movies on iMovies, like on iPhones, like the guy who did Tangerine.
Talk about that. What do you think about that?
Well, the guy's already a filmmaker. The guy was already established filmmaker. He did it as a goof.
Yeah. No, but look, I went and saw him talk at New School, and I mean, he's very knowledgeable. Basically, his movies are, maybe this is his 5th film, and he just said, after the 3rd film, he started getting into a decent festival. So he said, literally, I'm paraphrasing now, it took him in like the 4th, 5th film before he was a known entity, meaning that, oh yeah, this is the kind of genre that I make. This is, his niche. And then he started getting more accepted to more festivals, and which led to more opportunities. But again, his background is he works with high-end production companies cutting films. So there's an in there, he's not doing it.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go. Do you think that going back to what we talked about earlier, but to the same point, younger, let's say a younger group of artists making films with their iPhones, can they shoot something that is
I'm
like
thinking of shooting something
worth watching?
Like the iPhone shoots better quality than some of the cameras that has been around for the last 5 years, for example.
So the gear isn't such a. It's not so.
Gear is not an issue. Yeah,
it's not an issue. No. But then you got to shoot stuff that you can do with the iPhone. Your iPhone, you can't really pan too much. You can't do this. With
yeah, you
iPhone.
look at the limitations. Yeah,
you have to. We're very slow because you get stutters or you get waves.
rolling shutters.
Yeah, rolling shutters. You can shoot stuff that's very still. But then Soderbergh, when he shot his film, he had the thing. Yeah, but I'm saying his thing was all hooked up.
Yeah,
he had lenses on it, and he had
And so did Tangerine.
Right. You put lenses on it. You put the steady cams on it.
Sure, there are ways to do it. Yeah, you have an alley.
Right, something like that. Things that make it look professional. But then it starts with a great script. Was that ad lib? Tangerine, was that ad lib?
Yeah. He always has an outline, and then he just says, it's sort of like Curb Your Enthusiasm. Right. He has an in and out, and then lets them play improv. And then also, if they run into, like when he talked about it, they would just be walking around shooting exterior stuff, and then the two trannies will run into some other people that they know, and then that'll become an improv scene. And if it was good, then he'll use it. If it's bad, he'll just keep it moving.
Is tranny is the right word? Yeah. I don't know.
No.
I don't know if it's pro or whatever. Yeah. It is. Why
I don't know, man. We just get in trouble all the time.
It's the R word and the N word for transsexual people.
I use the R word all the time.
Nomenclature. All
right.
Yeah. Anyway,
any other questions? Or are we good?
Yeah, man. Because
we're good.
We'll save it for the next time. We'll do this again soon. Hey there, viewer. Please express your opinion or ask a question by leaving a comment in the section below. You may also watch some of our previous videos by clicking on one of these two links. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel by clicking on the logo. Thank you very much for watching.